Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Devil May Cry 4 on Legendary Dark Knight difficulty. This is Mission 7. It's called the She-Viper. So for this chapter and the next chapter we'll be in the forest. And over here we have, I don't know what those are called, red caches of orbs. So it looks like I picked up one of those. The right bumper hold back forward attack on the ground, which has its sister move called the caliber, which you do in the air with those same buttons, and I very seldom can make it work. So I hate the caliber because it vexes me. I love to look at it when I can do it, but I utterly find the button combination to be baffling. And maybe it's not for me, but I've had no problems so far on any of these situations, and it's perturbing me that I set out to do a difficult game, cover this hard game, and it's not hard. So maybe things will heighten in intensity and difficulty when I take control of Dante. But this part here, these are called Nemesis? Bugs? What are they called? I knew what they were in my other guide. But they hatch from the pods and they fuse with other enemies and make enemies that you don't want to fight, because what they fuse into is an animal that flails his arms about when he recovers from being knocked down, and also just kind of randomly, even when you're in the good throw animation. And anyway, so I don't know what those guys are called. There was a Trial of Valor where you had to save one of those guys before they got infected by the scarecrows. There are 2 eggs over here to get. Sometimes you can shoot things from far away, but you have to be on the right angle. And if you've done the trial where, what's it called? I'm at a loss for words. I wish I knew more about this game, but we can't all be Kirnoths. If you don't know who that is, you could find him on the internet. That's how I was following his guide as far as doing the challenges, because I didn't know where some of them were located, and I don't know. He doesn't seem to be very popular, but damn is he good. I mean, he ritualizes and just brutalizes a lot of the sections in this game, if not all of them. But that right there, it's the best move you want to do against those guys. That and the caliber shot level 3. Which is not the caliber, is it? I just had the word caliber in my head. It's the charge shot level 3. So these guys are flailers, so they're not enjoyable to fight, and when you fight them as Dante, they're extremely difficult. But as you can see there, I think that move is called a showdown. If you don't know how to do it, it is right bumper and then move the analog away from you. Look how many these guys are. Definitely want to use this move, but it requires you to have Devil Trigger. How much? Just enough to make sure that it charges, because it has more efficacy if it charges. See, well, I don't know if you could have seen it right there, but it does a little flash, and then you know it's charged. It only does 1 charge, and you can throw that Devil Blade from very far away. And I actually just purchased it. I haven't purchased all the moves in this game because, like the caliber, for instance, I don't even possess that move. I actually want to buy it, but I can't because I want the other moves more than it. And after this playthrough, I'll have more than enough to buy everything. It's just one of the facts of games like this, where the upgrades are so expensive for some of the better ones. So there we go. I find this move to be very good. Very slow, but very powerful. And I had no real issue here. I mean, when you grab them, you're just going to have to base it on luck if they're going to knock you out of the grab. But this difficulty, so far, I'm saying it's not been challenging, and I'm very perturbed by that. I'm disappointed, and hopefully I'll end up eating my words. But as of now, I have no intention to ever use any items in this guide. However, I am not good at some of the bosses, like the final boss, even on... so this is essentially, it's Son of Sparta difficulty with more enemies. And that makes it inherently more difficult than Son of Sparta because there's just more enemies. But I was using items left and right on Son of Sparta difficulty. So now the truer challenge, it seems like, is to be able to do these boss fights without using items, and I will be doing that regardless. Like, I won't feel good about myself if I use an item on this difficulty, because I think that at this point of my playing, I should not be using items. And it seems like there is a large community consensus about not using items on this particular game in this franchise. It's very much looked down upon. And this part here, there's 2 Fausts, but what you can do is spawn them by going forward on the platforms and then falling back and then fighting them over here. The only hard part is that it can be a little bit frustrating for you if you knock them out of their cloak and their true form falls to the abyss. And what happens then is that they just go back into their cloak, and it's like you didn't knock them out of their cloak. So try to buster them. When you see them moving around the sky very quickly, that means that they're going to do a lunge attack. So the conceit here about these guys is it's similar to the Fausts, but it takes more snatches and more busters to knock them out of their cloaks, because they're just a harder version of the Fausts. And you see here I'm in the red, so I'm using the Devil Trigger bullets to take care of these guys. I really enjoyed this chapter, and I struggled a bit on the boss of this chapter and the next chapter, but it wasn't like I was raging at any point. I wasn't. I mean, the She-Viper, the damage is pretty generous for this difficulty. So I'm really hoping that I end up eating my words, but I haven't been boasting too much. I mean, I'm just stating a fact. I'm not being challenged. Like, if this were on Dante Must Die difficulty mode with the same amount of enemies, it would be very difficult. But you see what they're doing with they're trying to scale it so that to compensate for all the enemies, you're not getting hit that much. And I think they've just left it at Son of Sparta difficulty and just, this is fast forwarded here. If you need all the orbs for this stage, you'll have to fall into that abyss to get, there's like 4 eggs down there. But pros would use the caliber to get over to this area, but I'm nowhere near being a pro. But I love this game, and it's kind of a love-hate relationship. Like, I had not played it in a long time, and I was watching content of it from people, and then I wanted to play it immediately, so the watching of it was very infectious. And playing it satisfies the need, but it just, I don't really know. I think it's just because look at this section here. The whole swimming pool area, if that's what it was, has these hatchlings here. So what could you do there? I tried to use the showdown right away, but I found that using that, look at that kills a lot of them right there. And the issue here is the fewer of those, they're called chimeras, duh. So the fewer chimeras you kill, the more of those guys will be infested by the blades, and then you'll have chimera-infused blades to fight. The other variants, I think the only other variant of the chimera is the chimera scarecrow, which is equally as difficult, just because they're flailing around quite a bit. But I think here that there might not be enough of the blades for the chimeras. Like, by the time the chimeras spawn, you've probably killed like 15 chimeras, and I'm not sure about the spawn count for the chimera for the blades. There might be like 5 or 8, maybe 10. So you can see that you have a disproportionate number of the two enemies, which is actually in your favor because the chimeras will end up just walking around and not have a host to infest once all the others are taken up, if you catch my reasoning. So it's pretty generous in that respect. I think I allowed myself to get killed here one time because I wasn't doing well. Basically, when I say that I allowed myself to get killed, it means that I could have beat it, but I didn't want the footage in the guide, so lacking the ability to restart from a checkpoint, with that kind of feature, I just, like I said, allowed myself to perish. So I'm actually very much looking forward to playing with Dante because I'm getting that same feeling that I got before. Is there a blitz that comes here? I'm not sure. But I remember fighting him. Okay, there is the blitz. There he is. Is he? Thought I saw some yellow sparking electricity. I know there's a blitz in this area. It might be in the next chapter where you fight him. So when you do the exceed, you can either do the launcher, which is right bumper plus back on the analog stick plus the attack button, and if you do it with the same button combinations but you press forward on the analog stick, you'll do, I think it's the double down move. He says double down, so that's probably what it's called. That's a pretty good move, although it's not likely to hit as many people as you needed to unless you're very accurate. So I don't know if that blitz is coming. I don't think he will. But we come back here as... Oh, I missed that fucking cutscene. Damn that. Yeah, I just did this and I remember fighting a blitz in this area, so it'll be in the next video probably. So, where is the checkpoint? The checkpoints are not very generous on this stage. So I remember... I think I might have died over here. Yeah, I died over here because I got overwrought with enemies, and coming out of that fight, my health wasn't very high. So, we've got a big fucking pig fest of puppets down, scarecrows and mega scarecrows. And you definitely want to use that gyro blade to slay waves of these guys. It's just incredible how many enemies are over here. And the only problem I had over here wasn't that it was hard, it was actually having the character hit with the buster, because after you hit it with the sword you have to buster it to make it move. Only problem there was that instead of bustering it, I was grabbing foes because there's just too many and the hit detection couldn't keep up with it. Or the grab detection, excuse me. So once they're all at about this number, you can start juggling bitches, which is something I find very fun, but it doesn't build the style meter because the game immediately recognizes that you're being repetitive, and it doesn't grade well for repetition in this game. You've got to be very varied in your attacks and combos, which is the only way you can do it, really, because otherwise people will be spam happy about everything. So that's one of my main grievances with that attack, getting interrupted because it builds up and it takes too long, but I'm not faulting it. A powerful move should have some kind of a counterbalance to it. And this is a great move for crowd control too. YY, pause, 4 Ys. Hits a lot of enemies. Okay, so this guy is the last guy. Now we're going to hit the gyro blade into this gate / monolith over there. And a couple of eggs over there to hit. And then I believe we're doing the running sequence. On my previous guide, I was taking my time to smash all the eggs. But I think what happens is just that the eggs come into your inventory because he'll smash them for you, except for perhaps those ones over there. So that could be pretty tense, and I'm not sure where the checkpoint is. If it's right before there, that'll be pretty easy to manipulate that. But this section here, we just have a couple of these droppers. The Chimeras, you want to take care of those guys first. And I just love that grab. It looks like Kratos' grab from God of War, another underappreciated game by people. And when I say stuff like that, I just mean that it doesn't seem that people are getting as mad as I am about not having God of War 4 or any information about it. It's an inevitability, but I don't want to wait too long to play it because I'm very impatient for good games. But here is the She-Devil. The double down actually works pretty well on her. When you're using up too many of your hits, so she'll use a shield and drive you back, which doesn't damage you. She'll also do that, which breaks your combo. And then she'll eventually fold her wings and go back inside. If you hit her with enough diverse attacks here and enough strong attacks, you can also get her stunned and you can grab her right there. But the main attack is where you'll be grabbing the egg sac from underneath her and then using that to buster her and get some good damage. There's that purple attack right there. I just take the stun because it stuns you for a second, but it doesn't damage you. And on this attack, you can double jump and then come down with the double down. And then this attack, it almost begs for a caliber or for the YY pause Y attack in the air. The roulette spin, one of my favorite moves in the game as far as the aesthetic nature of it. And she's not that bad until she starts firing the seeds at you. So, like the fights here, I'm getting hit to the point where I wouldn't survive on Dante Must Die difficulty, but we're not playing that mode, so as long as that I feel comfortable that I'm doing the fight well, and I look like I know what I'm doing, and I'm satisfied, with my own battle, I'm gonna be keeping the footage in. So when the sky darkens, that's the final phase of the fight. Watch out for her seeds. Just jump out of the way per usual. And you may have noticed that now she has a yellow sheen on her, which I don't know what that indicates, except for maybe it's just to intensify the experience for the player by thinking she's more dangerous. But what I do on that egg down there is I hit it a couple of times, and then I double trigger, and then I grab it. So there's like 3 points at which you can grab her. You can grab her when she's like that, and you can also grab her when you're hitting her. And I said the best attack for that was the YY pause Y attack. So it's not that bad. I mean, it's pretty generous. They don't take advantage of you too. This position right there. That's a good time to grab her. But the game is very specific about you need to do this combo, this series of combos for it to work every single time. And I just don't know those combinations. So, and obviously, the chance of you getting a grab is just cut in half or multiplied by 2 if you're doing the exceed, because it's a multiplier and augments your attacks. So, I mean, I might have been able to survive on Dante Must Die. I would probably not be able to get hit anymore at this point. So, I mean, a hit like that, you never know. But again, we're not playing Dante Must Die. We're playing Legendary Dark Knight, which is this great mode. So, I'll see you in Mission 8.